Welcome to the Leadership with Biana Kovic Show, and thank you for being with us. Our topic, leadership, focuses on leaders such as yourselves. We believe that leadership is a skill that can be learned through practice and awareness. It is our hope that our conversation will help you become more reflective when it comes to your own leadership practices and enable you to leave a positive legacy. Our very special guest tonight is Brooke Cianfichi. Brooke is the Chief Operating Officer and Director of Business Development at AscendAmerica, where she wears many hats, from sourcing real estate opportunities for EB5 investment to working closely with current and prospective investors to her newest strategic move into real estate development. Brooke was a commercial banker for over 14 years and a senior manager for the last few years. She previously worked as a group manager of sales and operations manager at MAT Bank, where she managed a group of 21 individuals, covering just under $5 billion of MAT Bank's $8 billion loan portfolio in New York City commercial real estate. Brooke is known for her creativity, drive, problem-solving skills, and relationship building. Brooke earned her MA in economics from New York University and her MBA from University at Buffalo. Brooke, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Biana, and thank you for having me on the show.
Brooke, I'm very excited to have you on the show. You're obviously managing large teams. Can you tell us about your current company, AscendAmerica, and your role within the company?
Absolutely. First, let me say thank you so much for having me on your program. I'm thrilled to share with you some of my experiences and insights, and I do hope that they're helpful to the audience. I joined AscendAmerica, which is run by a gentleman named Dan Shields, whom I've known for a very long time. Not that long ago, I'd actually been a banker for a long time. So my joining AscendAmerica was really the move for me into a new real estate life. I had been previously very involved in lending, so I had helped manage teams that structured loans for large developers in New York. And I had had a wonderful experience in that world, which was the debt world. I had the opportunity, since leaving the banking world, to shift into the equity world, which was something that I had had a lot of interest in, but just a muscle that I hadn't flexed. So I joined AscendAmerica a few months ago now, and it has been a real change for me in working directly with investors, working on sourcing new real estate opportunities for EB5 investment, so identifying developers, identifying and underwriting real estate sites, projects that are being built in and around the New York area, but also in taking the company into new frontiers and new directions. So my work and my reason for leaving my prior role in banking was really to get closer to the real estate and to be very involved in real estate investing and real estate acquisitions. So here I am, not that long after leaving my role as a senior bank manager at a large regional bank here in New York. And now I wear the hats of operating officer. So I have all of the various activities that go along with helping with the day-to-day operations of a very entrepreneurial business, as well as working through the startup of a separate entrepreneurial business. So it's been very rewarding, and it's also been very challenging because it's a different set of skills that I have to use today.
Brooke, I know that AscendAmerica is focused on EB5 program. Could you tell us a little bit more about EB5 program?
Absolutely. The EB5 program is a very unique program in the United States. It's one that allows individuals who are not U.S. citizens to invest and create jobs in the United States. It is a job creation program that has the added benefit of providing green cards to individuals who have created those jobs. So why am I in this particular space, you might ask? It's a fascinating space that is an intersection between real estate development and investors who might not otherwise be based here in the United States, who might not have access in these types to invest in these types of projects with that bonus of receiving a green card and the benefits that come along with a green card. Your ability to work anywhere you choose in whatever industry you choose in the United States is very powerful for a lot of families who would like to make the United States their permanent residence. So I am a firm believer that the creation of jobs in the United States is a really important thing. And what better way to do that than through an investment vehicle in what I love, which is real estate. And one of the things that I think we at AscendAmerica do incredibly well, so we work within the program, meaning we're a regional center that is sponsoring a project that's typically for us, based in and around the metro New York City area. And we're directing investor funds, just a small amount of investor funds, not the entirety of the project cost, but just a little bit. We take a small amount of investor funds and we just direct that into a great project, a project that someone who understands real estate would otherwise invest in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very specialized way to help someone obtain their green card that needs to be handled with care and needs to be handled by individuals who are well trained in real estate underwriting, development, and the understanding of how to finance a real estate project. So AscendAmerica is really unique in that regard. The EB-5 program allows for lots of different regional centers. There's actually many regional centers. I forget what the last count was, but it's quite high. Not all of them are active regional centers, and each one of them is sponsoring one or more projects at any point in time. So it's really important that you are thoughtful around the regional center that you choose. Does that answer your question about EB-5?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that you also work with developers. So not only investors, but developers as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about that aspect of work?
Sure. So I joined AscendAmerica having had a long history in real estate finance at a bank. And that brings with it a great opportunity of being able to work with lots of people in New York. I was based in New York. I worked with most of the development families and funds in and around the New York area. And what I have been able to do in joining AscendAmerica is continue the conversations with those same development families in order to determine whether or not EB-5 might make sense for them as well. A good example of that might be a developer who otherwise is looking to have a bank loan. They're going to build a big apartment building. They're going to build it under, one of the affordable housing programs, which are great in New York. There are quite a few affordable housing developers or developers that are building what we call mixed-use projects, where they put some affordable apartments as well as regular, what we call market-rate apartments in the same building. And those developers are going to your traditional banks and asking for a loan. And then they're also raising some equity themselves. It's the family money or it's money from an investment fund, real estate investment fund that will back that project. What we do is we help developers understand the EB-5 program and determine whether or not it could be beneficial to them to have some EB-5 preferred equity in their project. And then the EB-5 investors, on their side, the benefit to working with someone or a group like AscendAmerica, myself, and Dan, would be knowing that you're working with groups who those developer relationships built over a long period of time and can trust that we have done the due diligence the way that a banker would do the due diligence, which is in-depth, very detailed, and with an eye toward making sure that we live by what we call the 5 C's of credit in finance. Mm-hmm. You have to make sure someone's got a good character, they have the right collateral, etc. So we're very focused on picking projects with the best developers, with the developers who know us and know our reputation, and then turning around and speaking with investors and being able to bring them a product that, if not for EB-5, if they just were going to invest on their own, they would be willing to invest in without the added benefit of the green card. That's the premise of AscendAmerica, of our regional center.
So what you're doing, you're connecting people to see if you can match the same interests.
Yep, we want developers who are conservative and who are very focused on creating a product for the long term. And we want investors who are equally as risk averse, who want to put their money with developers who know exactly what they're doing and want to work with advisors who are going to steer them in the right direction. Not into murky waters, but into a sound project that is very well structured because it's been put together by real estate finance professionals. What I like to say about the way we do business versus how others might do business is we look at a project from the standpoint of, is this a good investment? So my thesis is, would I put money into this project? So that's step one. And then, and only then, will I say, can I structure something appropriately to keep an investor safe? That isn't always the case in EB5. If you look in the news, if you look at articles, if you look at the real estate press, you'll find that it isn't always the strategy of a regional center to think of making the best real estate investment to protect my investor. Instead, what happens occasionally is that the investor is sought first. Let's see how many investors we can find, and then the project is determined after the investor pool is assured. And what that means for the investor is that they might end up in a project that's not as safe as they really should be demanding. They should be demanding a very safe, very well-structured project because this is their family's future, right? They're thinking about, how do I obtain a green card? You should be thinking about that with the least amount of risk on your mind, not the most amount of risk, not the highest return. You can leave the most risk and highest return for after you have the green card. But when you're looking to obtain your residency through a program like an EB5 program where you're helping create jobs, you want to do that in as minimally risky strategy as possible. You want to create those jobs, right? The U.S. government as well behind this program is thought around the creation of jobs. So you have to have an alignment of everyone. The developer has to understand that we're not trying to put these investors at risk. The investor has to not want to be with too much. They have to have some risk because their investment needs to be at risk for them to be in this program, this EB5 program. But the end goal is to create jobs for U.S. citizens. And in doing so, to obtain a green card for a good family that has been through this process and has put their money up to help the U.S. economy.
So obviously, EB5 program has greatly benefited U.S. economy, not only in creating jobs, but also maintaining jobs. Am I right about that?
You are. I will say this. The important thing to think about when you're thinking about EB5 is it is the only jobs creation program in the United States that costs the United States taxpayer no money, right? Because all of the money is coming from non-U.S. citizens to create jobs in the U.S. So someone who is looking to bring their family here is putting money into our economy with that goal in mind. Let's help the U.S. economy grow. And in doing so, I'm creating jobs, but I'm also helping my family. And to me, that's a win-win. So when I think of this program, and there are, you will look, if you dig into the news, you'll find situations where people weren't always forthright and honest and honorable about what they were doing in raising funds. We take a very, very serious, very risk-averse view on this program, which is to say we want to make sure that people are as safe as they can be. Don't look for the highest return, look for the project that has the lowest risk, because your family's future depends on where you put your money.
So I know that, talking about risk, I know that your company's fundamental strength is in risk mitigation. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Sure. So we work We have everyone who would like to review our information. They're able to review our information. So if an investor says, I have an investment advisor that I'd like to have review all of your documentation as it relates to this project, we are transparent, we're open, we answer lots of questions. So one of the things I like to tell investors when they're going through this program, if you ask a question and you get hurried responses or you get a lot of pushing to make a decision without enough information for you to be comfortable about making that decision, walk away. It's not worth it for the future of your family. You should be working with people who open their books, are transparent, will work through conversations around the project and all of the structural specifics of the project, and will do it in a very patient manner. And when I say open up, what I mean is, as it relates to the project that the investor is looking at, they should be given access to the information that they need to make the best decision for their family. And they should be able to reach not somebody on staff, they should be able to reach Dan or I, and they should be able to have their question answered satisfactorily. And if it's not answered satisfactorily, we need to find the answer for them. So we take a very different view, and that's a protective view. And we want, one of the things that's very important to think about is that the investors, it has to be a suitable investment for the investor. We don't want to lead somebody down a path if they don't understand it or they don't feel comfortable with the type of investment they're making. So we will spend a lot of time making sure that they're comfortable in what it is that they're investing in. And in doing so, we believe we build a really strong relationship. So our regional center is built on integrity, it's built on transparency, it's built on relationship, which is a little different of a spin from what you might hear in EB5. And that relates to the way that we conduct ourselves so that we can sleep well at night. You want people to feel like they're assessed it, they understand it, they feel comfortable, and that they can pick up the phone and call someone to help with any concerns that they may have about making a large investment for their family.
Brooke, I know that you've been traveling a lot recently, and you mentioned that you're looking to expand on your current investment opportunities or portfolio that you have. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Absolutely. So we have recognized that there are wonderful opportunities around the United States in places that I study from an economic perspective. I enjoy data analytics. You can laugh a little bit when I say that out loud. I'm a little bit of a nerd. I enjoy analyzing information and drawing conclusions from that analysis and making recommendations from that analysis. So one of the things that I think is very powerful is not taking a soundbite from somebody, but actually digging in to information that is available. You have to create ways to find things that other people maybe aren't looking at, and then draw a conclusion from that information that you find. So what I've been doing is creating an economic model that I think helps us determine where there are some bright spots in various segments of the U.S. to identify real estate and identify where people want to live, work, play, what is a space that might be a great new frontier. Not in the middle of nowhere, a great new frontier, but places that have really cool things going for them already and just need maybe a little nudge, a little help from folks who come in and are willing to roll up their sleeves, have a vision, and put that vision to work in that area. You could say to activate the real estate and activate the life in a certain area. We're not pioneering by any stretch of the imagination. There are plenty of great things about the places that we visit that are already there. So we're not creating things from nothing. But we are identifying where people want to be, where they want to live, where there are cool jobs, where there are cool other, opportunities, entertainment venues, and places where people would like to make a life. And in doing so, we think we can bring a lot of value to investors because of the uniqueness of the skill sets that the group of us that is doing this bring to the table. So it's not just me. There are others who are very much involved with me in this new frontier for us. Call it a new exploration phase and recommendation phase and data gathering phase. So we're taking our time. We're doing it right. We're not jumping into it blindly. We're doing a lot of research, and then we're quietly and strongly, with conviction, finding places where we want to spend time in the U.S. in real estate investment. And by the way, it might be right in our own backyard. It might be here in New York. If we find great opportunity here, we will jump on it. There's no better place than your own backyard. You understand it so very well. But there are other cities that we feel could be really good places for people to live. And we want to be part of that. We want to be part of the finding and the blooming of areas that are right there. They're ready to bloom. They just haven't quite yet.
Can you share with us what are those cities that are about to start blooming?
That is my trade secret. but more to come. We're very patient human beings, the group of us that have come together. What's really interesting is that you find in different industries, you find people who are very aggressive and push, and sometimes people who are stepping outside of that will look in and say, what am I doing wrong? I'm not being as aggressive. I'm not pushing as hard. Did I not do this right? And people can get themselves discouraged. What I like to say, anytime you look at somebody else and you say, well, they did it faster, more aggressively, they got there ahead of me, I like to take that and turn it around and say, maybe they should be looking at me and saying, wow, that was really thoughtful and that was really well executed, planned, etc. What should I be doing to be comfortable in being more patient with the outcome? And that really ties into how you approach adversity. I look at my overall life plan and say it's a marathon, not a little sprint. And if I wasn't the most aggressive at age 16 when I didn't know any better, that's okay. That's perfectly fine because this is a long life and I'm playing a very long game and I'm working through the marathon. So that being said, I cannot reveal any cities just yet. I can't reveal exactly where we are or where we're going. But what I can say is when we do announce and we do get into all the detail, it's going to have been incredibly well put together and thought through because we're a very thoughtful bunch. We have different skill sets, but ultimately the theme is around being smart and being diligent, and again, it's about protecting our investors, right? And that comes from where we started. We started with a company that's about making sure it's doing right by its investors, not just trying to figure out how to be the most aggressive, most in your face, fastest to the gate. It's being the smartest and patient and knowing how to help our investors intrinsically, not just what's the fastest way to get there in the quickest game.
So what you're saying to us, steadfastness pays off. Being steadfast about something pays off, right?
Yeah, so I think that the challenge in leadership is people sometimes confuse being the youngest, fastest, smartest person with being the one that needs to be at the forefront making the decisions and doing the leading. And that isn't always the case. You have to take each example and each industry and each individual and you have to say what makes the most sense right now for this group of people that need to be led and have to be helped through a process. Is it the most aggressive individual that's going to lead them to their end goal, or might this situation need steadfastness and need patience and need more hand-holding and shepherding and working with people versus getting out there and getting ahead and sprinting to the finish line. You think of the tortoise and the hare, right? It actually rings really true. That's not to say that you want to do everything really slowly and patiently, but you have to weigh when it makes sense to be the most aggressive and in your face, and when you have to take a step back and be more thoughtful and careful.
So, in your opinion, can you tell us any other traits that the leader needs to have to be very successful, like truly successful leader, besides, being reflective and steadfast, and any other traits?
I think that the thing that I've carried around for my whole career that never failed me and has, no matter what type of work I was doing, was always true. Whether I was in corporate, which is a big company, more than 15,000 people, lots of different layers and different people who you had to interface with every day, to effectively today working in a startup environment where there aren't those layers and we're making decisions every day that affect us directly. No matter what environment I was in, I always believed that how you roll into the next challenge, how you pick yourself up and move on, is the thing that will help you get through that marathon, right? So when you think about running a marathon, it's not that you want to run out of the gate as fast as possible, because if you do that, by mile 2, you will tire and you're not going to make it to the end. You have to think through the pacing. You also have to think about what happens if someone accidentally knocks me over. Because that happens a lot in marathons. You go into a water stop and all of a sudden you get tangled up with somebody else. This happened on my first, this is a true story. I ran into the water stop and it was a complete accident. Somebody was coming out as I was coming in. Our legs got tangled and I came down like a ton of bricks. And I ended up cut all up my one leg, and I was only at mile 9. And I had to get to mile, you get to 26.2. So what do you do at that moment? Well, some people would say, oh, it's lost. It's lost. I fell over. I got knocked out. Some people would yell at the other guy. They'd blame him, right? You knocked me over. You destroyed my chance. That is the moment. It's not the entirety of the marathon. It's what you do at that moment. So it doesn't matter if it's you by yourself who's gotten knocked over for something that you yourself made a choice on. It doesn't matter if it was an external force, a big corporation that you perceive has done something that doesn't jive with your perception of how things should be done. Doesn't matter what the force is. It's not that the force happened. It's what you do that millisecond after you got hit by that force. That's what defines whether or not you can get to that next level and whether or not leadership for you will resonate for you and you can get comfortable in it. I can't believe that there are people who are maybe more, seems that it looks like it comes more naturally to them to lead. What I would say is it's not that they're natural leaders. There's an ability for them to sort of get outside of themselves and look at the situation objectively and then brush themselves off and move. And that's what, if I had to say what makes someone a successful leader, not a natural born leader. So your show is about becoming a leader. How do you become a leader? I'll say I don't think that there's this natural born instinct that no one else can lead and they can't learn it. I think that people genuinely are drawn to folks who make it look easy. And how do you make it look easy? You make it look easy by showing grit and resilience and by getting yourself up when you get knocked down. And it sounds so simple, but it is that one little millisecond right after you got knocked down that is the distinction. It's how you react to it. It's, do you put a smile on your face, say to the poor guy who also came tumbling down with you at the water stop, oh my gosh, let me help you up and we're going to get through this together. We're going to figure this out. Or do you fall apart at that moment because your dream is dashed, because it's all ended. You thought you were going to finish in 4 hours and 1 minute, and now you're going to finish in 4 hours and 3, and life is over. Right? Yeah. You have to, the perspective and the way you bounce back in that moment is what I think defines someone who can lead successfully.
Thank you for that. I mean, what I'm hearing, it's all about not being reactive. Am I right about that, Brooke?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a really great way to characterize it. It's about how you approach a situation and not let the situation eat you. How do I walk into it? Not how does the situation overtake me, but how do I come into the situation and then move into the next situation and then move into the next. The situation does not control me. And by the way, I have no control over things. The only thing I can't control the other human being. I can't control the accident that just happened. All I can do is reframe how I react every second of every day.
I'm going to segue a little bit in your work with large teams. I know that in your previous position, you actually worked with a team that had 21 individuals.
Yes.
How did you ensure that you divided, your time equally among all of your team members and, that you heard them and were able to support them?
That's a great question. And I'm going to start by saying it is impossible to be in every place at once.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to trust that you can trust in yourself to identify other people that can help you in the journey. The leaders that I saw ahead of me and what I strived to do myself as I was growing into a leadership role. I wasn't always, when I was younger, I wasn't starting from a leadership position inherently. I had to grow into leadership roles at various places where I was employed and then ultimately on my own in different tasks and hobbies that I had. How do you lead? How you lead is by recognizing that you don't know everything. You can't be everywhere at once. You must have strong people around you, and you have to trust a lot. And sometimes you will make a mistake, and they will make a mistake, or something will happen that will be outside of your control, and it will look as though you both slugged up, you the leader and the person who was working closely with you, whom you were trusting. But the reality is that strong leaders, think of people who are able to manage 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people corporations. You're at the top. You're the point, the pinnacle of that corporation. You can't talk to all 20,000 people, right? There's just no way. So what you have to do is you have to be comfortable enough as a leader to see the strengths in the people around you and not be threatened by that. Because if they get better and better and better and better, you get better and better and better. Because you've trusted in them and you're leveraging their specific skill set to make sure that everybody is benefiting. What I'd like to say to myself when I was in a bigger group where I had a lot more direct reports and was running a very large part of a portfolio in real estate with very important clients and people who were counting on me, was I knew I couldn't be everywhere at once, but I had trusted and I had spent a lot of time with individuals who had skills that were a little bit different from my skills, but together we were really good. Together we were way better, and I was not intimidated. I did not look at them and say, I have to make sure I always stay one step ahead. I looked at them and said, if they're my boss one day, that'd be pretty cool, because I helped bring them up. And in letting go of that sense of I must be ground zero, I have to be the fulcrum and everything emanates from me. Once I let go of that and I said, I'm going to be one piece of the puzzle and I'm going to build really strong people around me who each have different strengths and they're each going to be other pieces of this puzzle, then and only then did I become an excellent leader, because I was really confident and comfortable. When someone would come to me and say, well, you're the boss, don't you have an answer for this? I would be confident in saying, actually, there's someone here who's better at me than that. And that's this person here. And this person here can speak for themselves. They're really good. And then that individual would feel really empowered. I have the skill. I'm the one who knows this inside and out. People trust me. My boss trusts me. So in leading and in building teams, I always felt in that larger corporate setting, which I very much appreciated and enjoyed. I liked working with lots of people. It drives you. It's really a lot of fun. You meet so many great people that way. I always looked at it as, how do I make everyone around me smarter, better, faster? I never looked at it as, how do I make sure I stay at the top? So you see the distinction? It's tiny, but it's really powerful. If I can make everybody great here, then I've done my job. And And in doing that, they will inherently trust me as a leader because I've been pretty selfless in doing that, in approaching it in that way.
And what I like about that is that you actually have shown to many people that you led that you're not being threatened by their skills or their knowledge. And that, I think, is a gift that you can give to people that you're working with. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I think the most important thing when it comes to bringing the best out in people is that they can do it and not you. Right? That they can show you how to do it. There's a famous quote that goes something along the lines of, I didn't hire you so that you could tell me, so that I could tell you how to do your job. I hired you so that you could tell me how we're supposed to be doing. Right? I believe that was Steve Jobs, actually. I hope I'm quoting him right. It's an important skill to let go of your ego. And it's an important skill to let other people shine. Great leaders let other people shine. They're not threatened because they know what they know, and they know when somebody else needs to shine because it's in their development and it's going to empower them. And as a result, they're going to feel great about what they're doing every day, as opposed to I just come in and take my orders.
And for that, we need a special set of communication skills. So what kind of communication skills did you bring to a workplace and your team so that they can really understand you and, and get the direction that you wanted all of you to go to collaboratively?
That's a great question. I think if I can boil it down to one thing, I'm real. You get what you get every day the same way. I'm not one way outside of work and a different way when I'm interfacing with colleagues. I am my genuine self. And what does that mean? That means that I'm not shy to tell people my opinion. I'm not shy about what I believe in. I believe in people being able to speak their mind without judgment, and I bring that everywhere I go, right? You want to be heard, and how does someone hear you? They hear you by letting you speak and not forming an opinion about you as based on the words that come out of your mouth at that exact moment, right? So I think that realness that we all have it in us. We all have it in us to say, how do I approach this other person with genuineness? How do I show them who I really am, in my actions and standing behind what I believe? But then how do I give them space to talk without me jumping to a conclusion as based on what comes out of their mouth? Everybody has an off day. Everybody has something that they believe in that may or may not be backed by data. We talked a little bit about data, but everybody has perception that comes from their background and their history. Some of it's researched, some of it's not researched, and you have to take everyone in and just let them be. Let them say what they need to say. And in approaching people in that way with that openness, that genuineness, that here's what I am and you can be whatever you want to be and you can talk and express yourself to me, and I'm not going to fight you to the, fight you down to the ground because you have a different perspective than me immediately. I want to meet people where they are and let them have their space for being themselves. And I hope for the same for myself. And I think that type of communication, that allowing people to just express themselves judgment-free. I used to say that a lot when people came into my office. This is a judgment-free zone. You walk in the door. If you need to express something, express it, and then let's sit down and think through what we can do. And I ended up having a lot of people come to my office to express themselves, which I appreciated because I knew what was going on. I knew what was happening around me. I knew how people felt. And by tapping into that judgment-free, that just express yourself, tell me what's really going on, a lot of people would say, not a lot, but some people would say to me, well, that takes a lot of time and energy and effort, and it's exhausting. And my reaction would be, yes, it is tiring to tap into people's emotions and their feelings and letting them express themselves. But how else do I really know what drives them? How else do I know whether or not they're engaged? I can't know whether or not they're engaged. So there's sometimes this fear of allowing a feeling out in a certain business setting, and I think that fear keeps people from really connecting with each other, and it keeps people from really understanding what drives the other person and arriving at the best outcome as a result.
So talking about the fear, which we all want to look good, what are your thoughts on how do you help someone who has fear and is not able to communicate to his or her concerns really are?
That's a great question, Biana. It takes patience, and it takes building a trust relationship with that person. We all have, every one of us has our walls. We all have things that we don't express openly. We are afraid of judgment. We're afraid of people thinking we're unintelligent because we asked a certain question. We have lots of fears, and that fear drives what we say. And so when you're working with someone who you can tell is closed, they don't want to tell you what's really going on. It's a longer process. It's a more patient process to show them that you are willing to take the first step and that you're willing to be transparent and honest and to invite them. And they might not ever get there when it comes to a group setting, being really open and honest in a group setting. And they might always struggle to a certain extent if they really don't feel comfortable talking about what's behind the undercurrent, what's really behind what they're asking. But if you create a space, and this means you have to keep their confidence, you have to really hear them and listen and give them space to talk. It's really hard for them to open up. The fact that you've created that place and said, hey, this is a safe space, you can talk. You can tell me what's going on. You can tell me how, do you like this or not like this, the way that this process is being run? Do you like or not like how we're approaching this problem? If you create that safe space, even if it's not acted upon, even if it's not taken, it's still appreciated. What I see leaders do often is I see them shy away from any conversation. It's like a powder keg. They do not want to talk about how someone feels because it's like dangerous territory. I can't explain why. I don't know if they're afraid someone's going to cry, if they're nervous that it's going to open a can of worms that they can't close. They're not sure how to respond to it. There's a lot of fear around addressing how someone really feels or perceives something. That as soon as you get over that fear and you genuinely approach someone with, I want to help you and I can tell you're struggling with this, once you get past that moment, the connection you create, the trust you create, because you've met someone at the real human level, is incredible. You want to know how they genuinely feel. You're not just barking an order at them, telling them to get it done. People who just bark orders and tell people to get things done, they work in fear and in sort of, hitting somebody over the head until they shape up, right? But that doesn't create engagement. That doesn't create a connection. That creates I got to get it done because I'm fearful I lose my job. And operating out of fear does not produce the best results in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to ask you another question. What are your thoughts on conflict in the workplace?
I think conflict is incredibly healthy. Here's why. I think you do it in a professional way. You set up rules around how professionally you're going to allow folks to express themselves and how you're going to, again, it's all about respect, meeting people, not judging them when they open their mouth for the first moment, giving it a moment, thinking about it, letting it sink in, responding thoughtfully. Feelings are incredibly powerful. You don't have to act on them at that moment. You can take a moment and then you can respond thoughtfully after you've allowed the feeling to sort of be absorbed and maybe, you might have a reaction, right? You might have an angry reaction. You might have a reaction. You have to create spaces where conflict's allowed, where conflict is good. The best things, the best outcomes are created out of conflict. They're not created when everybody sits in a room and agrees with everything at all times. The worst products, the worst services, the worst solutions are created when everybody sits together and everyone has exactly the same viewpoint. That's like the least optimal solution individual or another together. You need dissent. You need people to have conflict in a respectful way. The thing I think that is hard is a lot of people, some people, it's hard for them to not internalize the conflict and make it feel like it's about them and something that they personally did wrong. You have to look at it objectively. You have to give space for conflict, and then you have to allow people to react to it respectfully and to bring up ideas, but not to attack each other. The attack is where things fall apart, and that's what I think a lot of people are afraid of in talking about feeling and talking about what's really behind what's happening in an interaction. There's a concern that it's going to turn into a really angry interaction, and it doesn't have to. You set rules, you set ground rules, you tell people how we're going to interact with one another so that everyone feels respected, but your voice is going to be heard. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So do you think that I'm moving a little bit away from conflict, and I'm curious, do you think that healthy dose of competition is good for the teamwork?
Yes, absolutely. Competition in a sense that you can compete and the other person can win and you can be happy for them. Right? You can have a well-crafted competition between two individuals who at the end, the person who doesn't win, quote unquote, is disappointed, but if you end up with a better product because you've taken people and you force them to think through different things and how do I make it better? Not better than that guy, but better than it was before. If you don't have competition, the competition doesn't have to be between human beings. It can be how do we compete with ourselves to make our solution stronger? We delivered and it was okay, but what did we learn and how do I compete with the team that we were 3 minutes ago to make our next outcome even better? So I think competition is very important, but it's that snap judgment. People hear competition and they think I'm competing against someone and it's win-lose. And the answer is no, you don't have to compete against someone. You can compete against yourself and your own ideas and create a better product. And that's win-win. You can't compete against somebody else, and you can have a better outcome and both be respectful at the end and say, wow, your win, that was a really, really good win. But by the way, there might be some things about the product that lost that are actually really valuable that you should be taking anyway and adopting. So I think healthy competition for ideas and processes and how to be smarter in the way you work is very important.
So any thoughts on low-performing team?
That's a very interesting question. And when I hear you ask low-performing teams, the thought that I have, what I perceive is individuals who are struggling to make the sum greater than the parts. So to me, a low-performing team, when I hear that word, what I hear is everyone is out for themselves. Because a team, when you pull people together, a team that is well-run and works well with one another, those individuals recognize that they're stronger when they're all together. So to me, a low-performing team is where everyone is out for themselves and they don't see the value in their colleague. They don't see the skill of that colleague. We were talking a little while ago about leadership, and we were talking about allowing people around you to shine. So the thing that makes teams work really well is kind of similar to what it is that makes a leader really good, and that's individuals being able to recognize in each other what the next person does a little bit better and allow them to take the team in a direction that helps everybody, and everybody learns. So low-performing teams to me are people who sort of create their own little mini kingdoms for themselves, and they don't want to let anybody else in. And so you have to have the mindset when you come into teams, whether you're the leader of the team or you're one of the teammates, that I'm going to get more done by being part of this team than I could get done on my own. If you believe that, your team will be successful. If you can't find it in your heart to believe that the sum is much greater than the individual parts, then you have to reevaluate what a team is for you. If you think that you have all the skills and you're the only one who can accomplish anything, you have to step back and say, how is my life going? because I think that I'm an island and no one could ever compete with me. And no one has any skills better than me. We only succeed in what we do because we're social beings and we have to interact with one another to survive. So you have to think about how you pull people together and how you recognize in the person sitting next to you, what do they do really well? What is their strength?
So you're looking at strength and weaknesses possibly to help them get better in what they're doing.
So I learned not that long ago, I find this really fascinating, but yes, the answer is yes, you're looking at strengths. I learned not that long ago that I was doing something wrong, and when in my leading, what I was doing wrong was I wasn't spending my time necessarily where I should have been spending the majority of my time. So let me give you an example. I find this actually a really, really good example. Years ago, there was, and I'm going to use a running analogy because I'm a runner, there was this belief that no one could break below a certain speed in terms of mile per, how many minutes it took you to run a mile. No one thought you could go below a certain number. And scientists studied it, and coaches said, we're going to get you as close to that number as possible, but it's not physically, physiologically possible for a human being to go below that number. And then someone did. And what's fascinating about this is not that the first guy went below that speed, or I'm sorry, faster than that speed, the miles per minute. It was that as soon as it happened, shortly thereafter, a whole slew of other people did it. Meaning, there was a mental barrier. Everyone's perception was no one could do it. And then the first guy did it. And by doing it, he raised the bar, and now everyone was figuring out how to do it because it was possible. So what I'm saying is, and what I learned was when you want to create an amazing team, when you want to be a leader who's creating really strong teams, you have to find the people who can do impossible things. And you have to help them hone that skill. How do I make this person who has really incredible skill, how do I help them hone that skill and make that skill even better? Because what it does is it shows the rest of the team it's possible. And the rest of the team can hone their skills following along with that individual who showed that they could run faster than the marker that nobody thought anyone could ever pass. So what I'm saying is, you don't focus so much on the weaknesses. Yes, you have to think about the fact that maybe somebody needs a little development in an area. But the most important thing to do is to sit back and assess everyone's individual strengths and get them better at that thing that they excel at. Allow other people to learn and follow behind them and make the whole team better by focusing on the strengths.
That is very nicely put it. Brooke, any final thoughts for us?
So I would like to, leave with the thought of leadership as it relates to where you are in your life. So, Biana, when you called me and asked me to be involved at the show, I was really honored. And then I stepped back and I said, but I've had two very different lives. I've had a life in a corporate setting, and then I've had a life in an entrepreneurial setting, and those are very different. And people might look at that and say, well, you were a leader before because you had a big team, but are you still a leader now because you don't have that same big team? You're now entrepreneurial. So what I want to leave everybody with is take yourself out of that specific spot you're in. I work for XYZ company. I do XYZ thing. I make XYZ money. I am, this is my title. Take yourself out of that. And you have to distill for yourself what you do really well, what you're passionate about, and how can you take that into everything that you do, that motivation. You can be entrepreneurial no matter where you are. You can be in a big corporate structure and be a very entrepreneurial human being. You can be a startup, somebody works in the startup and is building businesses and be very entrepreneurial as well. But the thing that is really, really important is it doesn't matter your specific spot right this instant. You can be a leader no matter what your surroundings are. You just have to think about how you help people get better around you. Because to me, a leader, we're all social beings. We live in a society. Society depends on everybody interacting with everybody else. To be a leader, you have to bring people up. You have to get the best out of people. You can do that no matter where you sit, whether you sit in a corporate structure, you are a school teacher, or somebody who's working in an entrepreneurial role, you're working, you name it, you're working in a coffee shop, you can be a leader. It does not matter what your specific space is, what space you occupy right now. That does not define you. What defines you is how do you help everyone around you be better. That's leadership. So when you first asked me to come on the show, I kept thinking to myself, I hope people, when they hear me, they say, well, is she a leader? Is she not a leader? I hope what they take away from the conversation is that I feel very confident in my being a leader because when I look around me, I want to bring everybody up. That to me is leadership. So you could put me anywhere. And that's what I would strive to do. So my surroundings don't matter, and neither do anyone who's listening to this program. Your surroundings don't matter. Your specific space right now doesn't matter. What matters is how you approach everybody around you.
And how can people get in contact with you?
Well, first, let me say thank you to everybody for your attention. I really appreciate the time Biana today. If anyone would like to reach out to me, you can find me at AscendAmerica.com, and my specific email is Brooke, BROOKE, at AscendAmerica.com. And all my contact information is on our website as well. But feel free to reach out to me. I am happy to discuss your specific situation in leadership. And though I will never claim to be an expert, I am not a leadership expert. I am a doer. I've lived it. I love nothing more than to connect with others. So if I can be helpful as a connection, then that would be great. That would warm my heart.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Leadership with Biana Kovic Show. Remember that you're all leaders in your own rights, and the impact that you're meant to achieve starts with small acts of kindness, curiosity, and generosity. Please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you again, and until next time.